Down here, light disappears fast, and the bottom becomes a landscape carved by slow, relentless currents. Cold water holds the scene still, and every ledge hints at life waiting outside the open flow.
King crabs move in bands, using scent and contact to navigate the bottom with minimum wasted energy.
A synchronized march reduces collisions, and each crab reads tiny changes in current and terrain. Antennae sample the water, and small movements reveal how bait scent can redirect an entire herd. Even in groups, they spread into lanes, scanning for food trails drifting low across the seafloor.
Strong bait scent drives catch rates, and sealed jars stop bait from washing out during your descent. Inspection prevents blowouts, and clean funnels guide crabs inward, while escape rings protect smaller animals.
Orderly rigging matters, because a single tangle can stall hauling when heavy pots start surfacing.
A large hull steadies work, keeping pot lines predictable when wind and swell change direction offshore. Hydraulics must stay smooth, because a full pot rises with heavy water weight and sudden load spikes.
A pot becomes a scent station, waiting for bottom current to deliver crabs directly to its doorway. First contacts stay cautious, because steel and netting feel unnatural until bait scent proves the reward.
Live systems protect value, keeping crabs active and clean after hauling through cold spray and wind.
Buoys mark each string, and rope angle shows deep gear pulling under the ship's steady drift.
Texture and edges matter, and the funnel rim provides footing that encourages the first committed step inward.
Stacking sets the rhythm, because every pot must flow through baiting, launching, and tanks.
Heading control keeps strings straight, preventing crossed pot lines when wind veers and swell stacks up.
The bottom stays calm, and the herd tests scent plumes without committing to the trap entrance yet.
Clear lanes reduce accidents, and final hardware checks prevent steel failures when loaded pots hit the rail.
Launching begins the cycle, and pot line tension must stay even so the string lays cleanly on the bottom. Steel and rope move together, and a clean splash shows the pot leaving without twisting the line.
On contact, the pot must sit flat, because funnel alignment decides whether crabs enter or circle away. Scent pulls them up current, and antennae confirm direction before the first crab risks the opening. Feeding begins outside the entrance, and the scent intensify as bait breaks down in cold water. Once the first crab enters, the funnel geometry makes retreat difficult, turning curiosity into capture. A herd responds fast, and the pot becomes crowd as more crabs funnel inward toward the bait jar.
Surface positioning sets the hull, keeping the rope vertical enough to lift heavy pots without dragging bottom.
Hauling starts slowly, because a smooth first pull prevents rope burns and shock loads on shackles.
Clean rope management prevents snarls, and steady coiling keeps the next pot launch ready on schedule. When a pot surfaces heavy, the mesh reveals the payoff, and the rope stays tight for control.
A controlled swing reduces impacts, because steel pots can injure crew and crack mesh if dropped.
The dump reveals volume, and quick control matters before claws reach boots and lines across the table.
A hard rinse cleans shell and joints, improving tank water quality and protecting market presentation. Live transfer keeps crabs active, and aeration prevents stress when large volumes arrive, pot after pot. Bubbling tanks stabilize oxygen, turning chaos on deck into controlled storage built for long transits.
Banding claws prevents injuries and broken legs, protecting both crew safety and the crab's sale value. Resetting pots fast keeps rhythm, because downtime between strings can erase a whole tide window.
The line moves like a conveyor, and consistent spacing prevents pots from colliding during descent.
Weather builds pressure, and the ship's mass keeps the deck workable while strings continue cycling. Between harvest moments, the bottom shows its scale, a quiet stage where the next herd advances unseen.
Small tangles become big delays, so quick clearing keeps hands safe and the line moving cleanly.
A string acts like many stations, letting a moving herd fill several pots as it crosses the scent trail.
Density rises fast, and funnel entries become a choke point where size and strength decide who gets inside. When a herd meets fresh bait, hesitation ends, and the pot fills quickly with heavy, armoured bodies. Funnel geometry turns crowding into capture, and each step inside reduces the chance of a clean exit.
A tight rope signals a loaded pot below, and the ship holds line without letting it slack.
The pot surface is loaded, and mesh movement shows live weight shifting as water drains away.
A controlled crane swing prevents damage, keeping steel from slamming deck and tearing net panels.
Volume hits the table at once, and the crew controls flow so legs stay intact, and crew stays clear.
Rinsing reduces tank fouling, and clean shells hold better color for market once chilled and packed.
A moving herd can fill consecutive pots, turning one scent trail into repeated heavy catches.
Crowding becomes a wedge, and powerful legs push bodies through the entrance despite resistance.
Chop increases drag, but the ship's height and mass keep the rope working without sudden surges.
Safety stays simple, with hands away from rope and eyes fixed where steel and load meet.
Mesh movement confirms live catch, and a tight rope keeps the pot from swinging into hull plating.
Control before opening prevents chaos, because a loaded pot can spill legs into lines and hardware.
The seafloor looks empty between herds, but scent and current keep the next surge moving nearby.
A guided dump protects legs and joints, keeping the highest value parts from snapping under weight.
Clean shells and banded claws make tanking efficient, turning deck speed into stable, market-ready storage. A long string multiplies opportunity, and one herd can load several pots as it follows the scent line. Feeding turns into entry, and the funnel keeps traffic moving inward until the chamber is packed.
Station keeping reduces side pull, helping heavy pots rise vertically instead of dragging and snagging the bottom.
Small repairs prevent big failures, because one torn panel can dump a full catch back into the sea. Drainage reveals weight, and tight rope control keeps steel from swinging into hull plating.
The deck turns into a factory line, where each pot must be emptied, cleaned, and reset without delay.
A fast rinse protects tank chemistry, keeping seawater cleaner when thousands of pounds arrive in waves.
Even without animals, the deep feels alive, and every drifting particle marks the unseen current direction.
Sequence work prevents bottlenecks, turning a chaotic pile into controlled live storage and safer handling.
At peak density, entry becomes continuous, and the chamber fill until movement inside slows to a crawl.
Rough water raises stakes, and the ship's height keeps working decks above wash while pots keep rising.
A short pause prevents rope damage, keeping twist from becoming a dangerous whip under heavy load.
Tight rope and draining water reveal full weight, and the pot stays aligned to avoid hull strikes.
Rough seas, footing matters, and the crew keeps lanes clear while the pile grows fast.
Clean shells look better and tank better, because less sediment means less stress and better survival.
Oxygen and flow keep crabs stable, turning deck harvest into controlled inventory ready for premium buyers. Reset speed drives totals, and every minute saved keeps the string working while herds remain nearby. Deployment continues immediately because fresh bait set the next trap before the herd moves beyond range.
A string becomes a corridor, and crabs follow scent from pot to pot until chambers are fully loaded. Once inside, the crowd blocks the funnel, and the trap holds even the strongest animals.
A steep line angle signals deep gear, and steady speed prevents pots from swinging as they rise.
High tempo demands precision, and rope bins must fill cleanly or the next launch will snag.
The mesh bulges with live weight, and the rope stays tight to keep steel from slamming the hull.
At peak volume, the deck becomes a controlled line, and banding prevents injuries during constant handling. Washing protects tanks and presentation, because clean shells hold color and reduce stress in storage.
Full tanks mean real weight on board, and pump checks keep oxygen stable through long, cold transit.
The deep returns to silence, but the scent line continues working across the bottom beyond the light.
This is peak production, where clean workflow turns heavy pots into stable live inventory without losing control. Before packing begins, the crew celebrates briefly, because volume like this confirms the herd stayed on the string. A clean deck and full tanks show discipline, turning rough weather work into premium seafood value.
Sorting and banding standardize handling, protecting legs and keeping inventory consistent for buyers.
Rapid chilling slows metabolism, preserving quality while keeping shells clean and joints firm during transit.
Packing is cold chain discipline, using ice and airflow to protect value from deck to final service.
Clean down prevents contamination, keeping tanks and decks ready for the next cycle without lingering debris.
Transit becomes quality control, where stable speed and cold storage carry heavy catch toward premium markets.
Small checks prevent big losses, and steady aeration keeps live products stable through changing sea states. Simple steam highlights sweetness, and controlled heat protects texture built by clean handling and chilling.
Fast cooling locks texture, keeping meat firm and clean for restaurant finishing later.
Restaurant steaming restores heat gently, preserving sweetness without drying the meat in thick leg sections.
A butter emulsion adds richness, letting ocean sweetness remain central, while aroma lifts the finish. Minimal plating showcases scale and color, turning industrial harvest into a clean, luxury presentation.
Quiet service completes the chain, carrying offshore discipline into a calm, controlled dining room moment.
Firm meat releases cleanly, confirming cold chain control and careful cooking from deck to kitchen.
Butter coats the bite, balancing sweetness and salt, while the crab's natural aroma stays forward.
Each shared plate carries offshore work, translating steel pots and cold water into a refined experience.
Final touches look effortless, but the real work began with clean pots, strong bait, and disciplined hauling.
The last plate closes the chain, linking deep seafloor herds to careful service without losing quality. Behind the ship, the sea resets, and the potline story ends with distance, order, and hard-earned weight.